What is up, everybody? Sean the D-Man here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are having yourselves a great week. Welcome back to the Auburn Podcast channel. And we're just going to do a quick little short video, just kind of catching up on stuff. The last one I think I did was for Sunday when after Auburn lost to Arizona. Um, about 30 points. Auburn plays again on Saturday against Chattanooga. That should be very much an easy win there. But this one's just gonna be a quick little catch up with regards to football because signing day was last weekend. So obviously, yeah, there's been a lot of moving parts in regards to Auburn. Obviously, Alex Golesh gets hired. DJ Durkin stays on, and then we've already had a few uh people announce transfers. So I think we'll start with that. Let's start with that part. So the transfers, or at least the people who have announced that they're entered the transfer portal. So first off, Damari Alston, he announced this about I think maybe October. This was something he announced back in October, I believe. So he was like the first one, obviously to announce. Cornerback Radon Strader didn't really play much. Really didn't see him out there all that much. And then obviously got, I don't know. He just didn't probably pan out like you thought he would. Antonio Coleman, not really a big surprise. Guy like flip flop 4 or 5 times between Auburn and Alabama during his recruiting, and I think he's been like what the 5 schools in 5 years or something like that. So. I don't. He may have played. I just don't remember hearing his name or seeing him out there. Caleb Wheatland. I think that was a linebacker from Maryland, if I remember correctly. Didn't really play much. Didn't really need him because I mean you had Robert Woodyard. Demarcus Riddick was injured most of the season. He played when he could, but Xavier Atkinson came on strong for the Tigers this season. And then you had Elijah Melendez, who played some, got himself 2 interceptions, one of those being a pick six against Mercer, I think. I think it was Mercer. And so, not really big loss there. Then Amon Lane. Didn't really see him all that much either. I know he played some snaps, but I didn't really see him out there on the field that often. Horatio Fields, that one is interesting because he, well, he got injured for most of the season. I think if Hugh Freeze would have stayed, or even if Durkin had became head coach, they probably would have gone for a medical red shirt for him, since he was pretty much injured the entire season. But probably doesn't fit what Golesh wants to do offensively. So obviously Jackson Arnold, not really a big surprise there. You knew that was going to happen. There's no way he was coming back to Auburn. And then Perry Thompson, and now he announced that he's entering the transfer portal. Not really a big shocker, honestly, given the fact that production wasn't there. Now you can argue he didn't play as much, but let's be honest, the guys that were basically in front of him, Cam, Eric, Malcolm, even Horatio Fields, even Keandre Lambert Smith last season, there were guys that were further along than Perry was. So now obviously things could change. A lot of these guys could change their mind. The portal doesn't open till January 2nd, so there is time to lock down a lot of these guys to keep them from transferring. And so right now that's been going on past couple of days. Alex Golesh had his press conference with the media on Monday, and they've been having player meetings and things like that. And obviously the big priority is definitely keeping Cam Coleman on his roster. Letting him know he is a priority. I don't think he is going to go anywhere. I think he's relatively going to stay at Auburn. Um, um, I'm trying to think of who else potentially. I think Malcolm Simmons, you should be fine. He should be coming back. You could get Eric Singleton back as he is a junior. Eric could go to the draft or he could come back for Auburn. Depending on if Golesh wants him back, which I would assume he would. Now there is question about some of the guys who are gonna more than likely transfer out from USF to come to Auburn, like Byron Brown, the quarterback, and I think there's like one or two wide receivers that could potentially make the move from USF to Auburn. That's gonna be something to look at as well, because I mean these guys already know the system, they know what to do, so it will make sense to have guys who know what to do in your system on the roster. Um, but other than that, I'm sure there's gonna be more. Like I think people have hinted at Alvin Henderson potentially hitting the transfer portal. Uh, Jeremiah Cobb, don't really know. I would expect him to be fine where he's at. I think he'd be fine where he's at, and I believe I saw like a rumor that like potentially Cam Martin is going to be the running backs coach for Auburn. Um, that's like again, that's just a rumor. It hasn't been like clear, what's the word? Confirmed yet. I don't know why I can't think of the right word. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but that is something I heard. And then obviously you got Marcus Davis trying to figure out what he's going to do, trying to keep him on staff because I remember USF was trying to hire Marcus Davis early on, so they're going to try to make it work with Cody Burns and Marcus Davis. Maybe one does like inside receivers, tight ends, the other does outside receivers or something like that. Um, they brought their own offensive line guy. The offensive coordinator for USF is going to call plays. I think they're missing a tight ends coach and then a running back coach, depending on if Cam Martin is the guy going to be, coaching the running backs. So, and then defensively, you got Vontrell King Williams. He's back. And then they hired somebody else. Let me see who it was. Let's see. They hired Wesley McGriff. He is moving to basically to an off the field role, but I believe the guy that's taking his spot is a guy that McGriff coached, and so I can't remember his name. Let me see if I can find it. I doubt I can find it. Yeah, I doubt I can find it. I was looking at it the other day because I was gonna do this quick little video, but but nonetheless, quarterbacks coach, and then they hired an edge position coach this week as well. Durkin's probably doing the linebackers, and then I think they need to hire. If I think they still need to hire a safeties coach. They hired a special teams coordinator or a special teams coach. So most of the staff is relatively done. I'm curious on if there's maybe some guys who are maybe coaching in on playoff teams that Auburn's maybe waiting on. You've got time. There's no rush because I mean obviously the playoffs start next week. There can be a ton of teams. So if there's a guy that you want that's on a playoff team, maybe you just gotta wait a little bit longer. So it's not really like a huge deal on waiting. And then recruiting wise goes, Auburn they did relatively good. They got some of the targets they wanted. They got some prize targets. I know the big talk was like the Wells brothers flipping from Texas to Auburn, which is massive. And then you have Braylon Warmack, who I believe is going to Mississippi State. I talked about that before in a like last week's video. I believe we're talking about like how he flipped from Auburn to Mississippi State. Whatever you do, you bro. But like don't say like you want to bring a championship to Mississippi State because that's not gonna happen. That may sound kind of jerkish. Mississippi State's not gonna win a national championship the 4 to 5 years that you're gonna be there. Like that again. Come on, let's be realistic about things. They probably Mississippi State probably threw a bag at him. He's probably going to be a day one starter. And that's probably, again, that's just me saying. I don't know the real reason, but come on. And then you had Jace Matthews. He originally was going to sign on Wednesday, didn't sign until Friday, and ultimately ended up signing with Ole Miss. Listen, this is another situation where they probably threw the bag at him. Ole Miss needed a win from a PR standpoint. You know, they had the whole situation with Lane Kiffin and all that. You know, you needed a win, and Pete Golden being elevated to head coach and all that stuff. You just needed a win, and so not really surprised at all. Um, when I learned about it, or when I like watched, I watched Summer Signing Day, or at least I watched like on three, or I think Ike Jones with the War Report. He did like a live stream. I watched some of that. So, but I mean, overall, you got what you wanted. You did have some guys leave. Not really a big surprise. Was it Peyton Falzone flip from Auburn back to Penn State? You just lost on a few guys as well. I mean, it is what it is. This signing day is going to be like a punt anyway. There's not much you really could have done is with the way the rules are set up now and how they have college football structured. There's not much Golesh could have done, you know, with the limited time because he was hired on Monday and then signing day was on Wednesday, so there was just not a whole lot of time for him to try to do something. But Auburn got what they needed. I don't. Let me see. I don't know where Auburn landed. Let me see football rankings. Oh, for the love of, hold on. Let me. God, it's annoying. All right, so 2026 Auburn finished. Okay, they finished with a top 40 class, 18 commits. All right, like to be fair, Hugh Freeze definitely let this class go. They had a lot of guys already like in the bag and everything in June, but you lost a few guys, so I'm not really going to judge him on this class. Honestly, now you can make up for it in the portal. You did get Shader Tootle. Wait, you got both right? There's a Tootle. There's two. Wait, are they two? I think there's two. Yeah, Shadarius Tootle. You got him. You got Corey Wells. You got Jarquez. You got some guys. You flipped Tavion Branch from I believe he was at Penn State. Um, and then you got enough. You got what you need. 18 guys. It is what it is. You're gonna have to just fill out the rest with the portal when it opens in January. So it's gonna be interesting to see the next couple of weeks. Because not much is really gonna be going on except for just finalizing some positions on the staff and like off the field stuff. And then obviously Auburn basketball plays this Saturday. Then they play again next Saturday against Purdue in Indianapolis. So probably like light Auburn stuff in the meantime. By the way, I need to look because I have not looked in a while. The Auburn women's team, last I saw, they were playing relatively good. I think they were like at least the last time I looked. This was maybe like a couple of weeks ago, but uh they were what you call it 8-1. Like they had just lost to Oregon by like a couple points. Let's see. I need to see how they're doing. Let's see. There it is. Let's see how they're doing. All right, so Auburn women, they are currently sitting at 8-2 on the season. Not bad, not bad at all. So, Coach Vickers is doing work and things like that. So that's good. 8-2 on the season. I like that. But guys, that is relatively it. If you're new to the channel, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure you comment below. Tell me what you guys thought. What are your thoughts on Alex Golesh so far that you have seen, since we're now basically a week in to him being the head coach of the Auburn Tigers? Very much like to hear you guys' thought. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good one.